"Maya, you're fired." The words echoed in the executive conference room as Maya Chen-Rodriguez stared at the termination letter, her hands trembling uncontrollably. But here's the twist that changes everything. Maya had just orchestrated her own firing to escape a $340,000 golden cage that was slowly killing her soul. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like angry wasps as she realized the devastating irony. At 42, she'd finally engineered her freedom by destroying everything she'd spent 15 years building. The mathematical brutality was staggering. Maya was walking away from $4.2 million in guaranteed earnings over the next decade, sacrificing her family's financial security and abandoning the executive track she'd climbed for 15 years, all to chase what her colleagues called a farming fantasy. But the hidden cost of staying was even more devastating. 1,247 days without genuine excitement, 847 missed bedtime stories with her children, and a marriage hanging by a thread because she'd become a stranger to herself. The numbers painted a portrait of professional success masking personal destruction. Maya's last performance review showed she'd generated $67 million in additional revenue for Pinnacle, earning her a 15% bonus and recognition as Strategic Leader of the Year. Yet she'd spent $47,000 on therapy trying to understand why achievement felt like suffocation. Her Fitbit tracked 4.2 hours of sleep per night on average, sustained by a cocktail of prescription stimulants that her executive physician prescribed for optimal performance. She was optimizing herself to death while optimizing profit for everyone else. Maya Chen-Rodriguez had built her reputation as the profit prophet, the marketing director who could predict consumer behavior with supernatural accuracy and turn failing products into gold mines. At Pinnacle Consumer Brands, she was the woman who generated $67 million in additional revenue through campaigns that seemed to read customers' minds. Her corner office displayed awards from 18 successful product launches, each representing millions in profit and countless pieces of her soul she'd never recover. But success had become her maximum security prison. Every morning at 5:15 a.m. sharp, Maya followed the same soul-crushing routine: check emails before consciousness fully returned, review overnight performance metrics while her coffee grew cold, kiss her sleeping children goodbye like she was heading to war, and arrive at the office by 6:45 a.m. to begin another day of optimizing other people's dreams while her own withered in darkness. The invisible chain that bound Maya was the belief that security meant staying put, that pivoting at 42 with 2 teenagers and aging parents was not just reckless, it was morally wrong. She'd convinced herself that feeling dead inside was the tax successful adults paid for stability. But that lie was about to explode, in the most unexpected way possible. Maya's prison had golden bars built from stock options, health insurance, and her children's college fund expectations. Her daughter Sophia was already talking about Stanford pre-med, while her son Lucas needed specialized tutoring that cost $200 per hour. Her mother's assisted living facility charged $8,400 monthly, and David's teacher salary couldn't cover their mortgage payment alone. Every financial obligation was a link in the chain that made freedom feel impossible, until she realized the chain was an illusion created by her own limiting beliefs about what was actually possible. Make sure to smash that subscribe button right now, because what happens in the next 60 seconds will shatter everything you believe about career security and reveal why playing it safe is actually the most dangerous gamble of your life. The catalyst moment that destroyed Maya's world arrived like a lightning bolt disguised as a routine meeting. She was sitting in Pinnacle's quarterly sustainability review when Dr. Elena Vasquez, an agricultural systems consultant, dropped a statistic that stopped time. Ladies and gentlemen, we are exactly 17 months away from global food prices tripling. Climate change will render 70% of agricultural land unusable by 2050, and current food production systems will collapse within a generation. The companies that survive will be those that reimagine food entirely. While her colleagues checked their phones, Maya felt electricity shoot through her nervous system. She found herself leaning forward, interrupting presentations, asking questions about vertical farming, cellular agriculture, and food security technologies that she'd never heard of but somehow understood intuitively. Something about the intersection of human survival and market innovation ignited a fire in her chest that had been cold for years. Dr. Vasquez noticed Maya's intensity. After the meeting, she approached with a question that would detonate Maya's life. Maya, has anyone ever told you that marketing consumer products and marketing food security solutions require identical skills? The only difference is that one industry sells convenience while the other sells survival. Which one do you think will matter more in 10 years? The question hit Maya like a physical blow. She'd spent 15 years mastering consumer psychology, market segmentation, and value proposition design, skills that were apparently desperately needed in the fastest-growing industry on Earth. But she'd been trapped in the mental model that expertise was industry-specific, that changing fields meant starting from zero. Dr. Vasquez was suggesting something revolutionary, that Maya's corporate mastery wasn't a liability in agriculture. It was a superpower waiting to be unleashed. I've consulted for 43 agricultural companies in the past decade, Dr. Vasquez continued, and every single one fails at the same thing. They know how to grow food, but they have no idea how to position it, price it, or sell it strategically. They're brilliant farmers who think like farmers, but the industry desperately needs people who think like strategists. That night, Maya made a decision that terrified her. Instead of researching vacation destinations, she spent 4 hours diving into agricultural technology startups, her heart racing with an energy she hadn't felt since college. When David found her at 2 a.m. surrounded by farming journals and laptop screens showing hydroponic systems, his first words were, "Midlife crisis?" "Midlife awakening," Maya corrected, though she couldn't yet explain what that meant. But Maya's research that night revealed something that shocked her to the core. The agricultural technology sector was exploding, $247 billion in global investment, growing at 16.8% annually, with venture capital pouring $12 billion into ag-tech startups just in the previous year. Yet as she analyzed company after company, she noticed the same pattern repeating: brilliant technological innovation coupled with catastrophically poor market strategy. These companies could engineer revolutionary farming solutions, but had no idea how to position them, price them, or scale them profitably. They were speaking in technical specifications to customers who made decisions based on emotional and financial value propositions. Maya realized she was looking at the perfect storm of opportunity, a massive, rapidly growing industry filled with companies that desperately needed exactly the strategic expertise she'd spent 15 years perfecting. This wasn't about learning to farm. This was about applying world-class marketing intelligence to an industry that had never experienced it before. Hit that notification bell immediately, because what Maya discovers next proves that the most successful career transformations don't happen despite your current expertise. They happen because of it. 3 weeks later, Maya enrolled in a weekend agricultural extension course under the pretense of improving our backyard garden. She found herself in a community college classroom that felt more like home than her executive boardroom ever had. The students were farmers, agricultural scientists, and a handful of career refugees like herself, all united by the belief that growing food was becoming the most important skill on Earth. The instructor was Jake Morrison, a third-generation farmer who'd revolutionized his family's operation by treating crops like consumer products. In his hands, he held 2 tomatoes. One, pale and lifeless, the other so perfect it looked fake. "Most people think farming is about dirt and luck," Jake said, his weathered hands making the perfect tomato glow under the classroom lights. "But modern agriculture is actually about data, consumer psychology, and market positioning. This tomato exists because someone understood that consumers pay 340% more for locally grown, pesticide-free produce that tells a story they want to be part of. Then we reverse-engineered the entire production process to deliver that emotional experience profitably." Maya's brain exploded. She was staring at the perfect fusion of everything she knew about consumer behavior, brand positioning, and profit optimization, applied to the most essential human need imaginable. For the first time in 15 years, she felt like she was looking at her actual future. During lunch break, Maya gravitated toward Priya Patel, a brilliant software engineer turned vertical farming entrepreneur who was struggling to attract her first major investor. Within 30 minutes, Maya had diagnosed 3 fatal flaws in Priya's pitch strategy and outlined a customer acquisition framework that could triple her valuation. "Holy shit," Priya whispered, staring at Maya's napkin sketches. "You just solved problems I've been wrestling with for 18 months. Who the hell are you?" "I'm someone who's been wasting world-class marketing skills on disposable consumer products when I could be helping solve the food crisis," Maya replied, shocking herself with the clarity in her voice. Jake Morrison overheard the exchange and asked the question that would change everything. "Maya, what if I told you that agricultural businesses fail at a 90% rate, not because farmers don't know how to grow food, but because they don't understand consumer psychology, market positioning, and strategic scaling? What if the expertise that makes you successful in corporate marketing is exactly what sustainable agriculture needs to feed the world?" The cognitive dissonance was overwhelming. Maya had been trained to believe that career changes meant starting over, that her marketing expertise was only valuable in corporate settings. But Jake was suggesting that her skills weren't just transferable, they were desperately needed in an industry that would determine humanity's survival. Maya's first real test came when she offered to help Priya prepare for a crucial investor. Presentation. She spent 2 weekends creating a comprehensive market analysis that repositioned Priya's vertical farming startup not as an agricultural business, but as a premium food technology platform serving the urban luxury market. The strategy was pure Maya. Identify the highest value customer segment, understand their deepest motivations, then build an offer so compelling that saying no would be irrational. Maya's analysis was masterful by corporate standards. She'd identified that affluent urban consumers would pay 340% premium for locally grown, pesticide-free produce that came with a story they could share on social media. She'd mapped the entire customer journey from awareness to advocacy, created positioning that differentiated Priya's farm from every competitor, and built a revenue model that could scale to $50 million annually within 5 years. The presentation was a spectacular disaster. Priya secured $200,000 in funding, but Maya walked away humiliated. Agricultural investors had dismissed her analysis as too slick, disconnected from farming reality, and theoretically impressive, but practically useless. One investor's feedback was particularly brutal. "This looks like a corporate consultant trying to fit agriculture into a business school framework. Farming isn't about market positioning, it's about growing food efficiently and profitably." Maya had made the classic mistake of career changers. She'd applied her existing expertise without understanding the new context. She was speaking fluent business to an audience that needed agricultural truth, using corporate vocabulary in an industry that valued practical results over strategic sophistication. "Here's where 97% of career changers quit," Maya told herself, staring at feedback forms that called her work theoretically impressive but practically useless. But instead of retreating to corporate safety, Maya made a decision that separated her from everyone else. She would learn to speak agriculture fluently while maintaining her marketing superpower. The next phase of Maya's education was humbling, in the most productive way possible. She spent the next month shadowing Jake Morrison on his 200-acre operation, learning to translate consumer insights into crop yields, market research into soil science, and brand positioning into harvest optimization. She worked 16-hour days in the fields, her hands blistered and her back aching, while absorbing the intricate realities of agricultural production that no business school had ever taught her. The breakthrough came during week 3 when Maya was helping Jake analyze why his premium organic tomatoes were selling poorly despite superior quality. Using her market research skills, Maya discovered that customers weren't rejecting the tomatoes because of quality. They were confused by the pricing and packaging. Jake was selling 8 per pound tomatoes in the same plastic containers as 2 per pound industrial tomatoes. with no visual cues to communicate the value difference. Maya's solution was elegantly simple. Premium packaging that told the story of soil health, water conservation, and family farming legacy, positioned not as expensive tomatoes but as soil-to-soul nutrition. Sales increased 280% within 6 weeks, and Jake's tomatoes began commanding even higher prices as customers started requesting them specifically. Her second consulting project was with Heritage Valley Farm, a struggling organic operation trying to compete with industrial agriculture on price, a battle they were losing catastrophically. The farm was hemorrhaging $23,000 monthly, facing foreclosure within 6 months, with 3 generations of family farmers watching their legacy collapse because they couldn't make organic farming profitable. Maya spent a week at Heritage Valley, analyzing not just their marketing, but their entire customer experience. What she discovered was heartbreaking. They were growing some of the most nutrient-dense, environmentally sustainable produce in the region, but customers saw them as expensive organic food, rather than understanding the true value they were receiving. Maya's solution was elegantly simple. Stop competing on price and start competing on story. She helped them rebrand from Heritage Valley Organic to 4-Generation Promise, positioning their produce not as expensive organic food, but as affordable family legacy insurance that protected customers' health while supporting sustainable farming practices that would preserve the land for future generations. But Maya didn't stop at rebranding. She redesigned their entire customer engagement strategy, creating farm tours that showed urban families exactly how their food was grown, implementing a crop adoption program where customers could sponsor specific plants and receive weekly updates on their growth, and developing a subscription model that made healthy eating convenient and affordable. The results were staggering. Sales increased 230% within 3 months. Customer retention jumped from 34% to 91%. Most importantly, Heritage Valley's produce commanded premium pricing, while customers felt they were getting exceptional value. Maya had cracked the code. Agricultural marketing wasn't about selling vegetables. It was about selling peace of mind, health security, and connection to something real in an increasingly artificial world. Maya's internal monologue during this period was a constant war between terror and exhilaration. What if this is just beginner's luck? What if I'm destroying my family's future for a romantic fantasy about farming? What if I'm not actually good at this and I'm just deluding myself? But every breakthrough, every satisfied client, every problem solved, every impossible challenge overcome, added another steel beam to the bridge she was building between her corporate past and her agricultural future. The universe has perfect timing. Just as Maya's consulting practice was gaining serious momentum, her boss Brad Steinberg called her into his office with news that should have been the pinnacle of her career. Promotion to Senior Vice President of Strategic Innovation, complete, with a $125,000 salary increase, equity participation, and a direct reporting line to the CEO. Maya, you're our top performer 3 years running. This promotion puts you in the C-suite track. In 18 months, you could be running strategic planning for our entire portfolio. We're talking about a total compensation package approaching $500,000 annually, plus stock options that could be worth millions if we go public as planned. Maya felt like she was watching herself from another dimension. 6 months earlier, this moment would have been pure triumph, the culmination of everything she'd worked towards since business school. Now, it felt like being offered the keys to a beautiful prison with gold-plated bars and a view of everything she was missing. Brad, I need to tell you something that might sound insane. I've been developing expertise in agricultural marketing, and I think Pinnacle is missing the biggest market opportunity of the next decade. Brad's expression shifted from congratulatory to deeply concerned. Maya, please tell me you're not about to turn down a $500,000 compensation package to become a farmer. What happened next was the most important conversation of Maya's professional life. Instead of apologizing or backing down, she pitched Brad on the agricultural technology revolution, a $247 billion market growing at 16.8% annually, with virtually no major consumer brands establishing strategic positions. She showed him her analysis of how consumer preferences were shifting toward transparency, sustainability, and health consciousness, creating massive opportunities for companies that could bridge the gap between agricultural innovation and consumer demand. What happened next was the most important conversation of Maya's professional life. Instead of apologizing or backing down, she pitched Brad on the agricultural technology revolution, a $247 billion market growing at 16.8% annually, with virtually no major consumer brands establishing strategic positions. She proposed transitioning to a consulting arrangement where she'd build Pinnacle's agricultural market intelligence division while developing her own practice. "You're asking me to let our best strategic mind work part-time so she can teach farmers about marketing. I'm asking you to let me build the bridge between Pinnacle's consumer expertise and the industry that's going to feed 9 billion people." The silence stretched for exactly 47 seconds. Then Brad did something Maya never expected. He smiled. "Maya, I've watched you generate more profit than anyone in this company's history. If you think there's opportunity in agriculture, I trust your judgment. Let's try a hybrid arrangement. You maintain strategic oversight here while building our agricultural consulting division, 6-month trial." Maya had just negotiated the impossible: permission to build her bridge without burning it. The golden moment arrived 8 months later during a presentation Maya was giving to agricultural investors about consumer behavior trends. She was explaining how emotional triggers could revolutionize farm-to-table marketing when the room's most respected investor interrupted her mid-sentence. "Ms. Chen-Rodriguez, I've been investing in agriculture for 40 years, and I've never heard anyone explain market dynamics with this level of precision. You're not thinking like a marketer trying to understand farming. You're thinking like someone who speaks both languages fluently. Where did you learn to see patterns this clearly?" Maya paused, looking around the room of farmers, entrepreneurs, and investors whose attention was completely captivated. "I learned it by refusing to accept that expertise expires when you change industries. I learned it by building bridges instead of burning them. And I learned it by trusting that the skills making me successful in one context could be recombined to create exponential value in another." The room erupted in applause, but Maya wasn't finished. Her next words would become the foundation of everything she'd build. "The biggest lie about career transformation is that changing directions means starting from zero. But your expertise isn't industry-specific, it's pattern-specific. Problem-solving, decision-influencing, and value creation are universal languages. If you can decode human behavior in one market, you can learn to decode it in any market. The question isn't whether you're qualified for your dream career. The question is whether you're courageous enough to build the bridge that connects your existing mastery to your emerging purpose." That presentation became a viral sensation in agricultural circles and launched Maya's signature methodology, the Strategic Bridge Framework. Within 14 months, she'd helped 73 professionals make successful career transitions, using the same principles that had revolutionized her own life. Share this video right now and comment below about a skill you have that could solve problems. In a completely different industry, your insight might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to build their own bridge. Maya's consulting firm, Bridge Agricultural Strategies, now employs 18 specialists and has helped over 400 agricultural businesses optimize their market positioning. Her ongoing consulting relationship with Pinnacle has expanded into a strategic partnership worth $3.8 million annually. Most remarkably, Maya now earns 340% more than her highest corporate salary, while working 35% fewer hours and feeling exponentially more fulfilled. But the numbers only tell part of the story. Maya's transformation created a ripple effect that continues expanding. She's now recognized as one of the top agricultural marketing strategists globally, speaking at conferences from Brazil to Bangladesh about how consumer psychology can revolutionize food systems. Her TEDx talk, "The Bridge Between What You Know and What the World Needs," has been viewed over 2.3 million times and translated into 17 languages. The irony is beautiful. By leaving the corporate world to serve agriculture, Maya has become more successful, more influential and more financially secure than she ever could have been, climbing the traditional executive ladder. She's proven that the biggest risk isn't changing directions, it's staying trapped in directions that no longer serve you or the world. The ripple effects of Maya's transformation created a movement. Her daughter Sophia chose agricultural technology as her major, inspired by watching her mother prove that purpose and profit weren't mutually exclusive. Sophia is now developing precision agriculture software that combines her mother's consumer insights with cutting-edge technology, already attracting venture capital attention during her junior year. David launched his own practice helping families navigate career transitions without destroying financial stability, using Maya's strategic bridge framework adapted for family dynamics. His practice now serves over 200 families annually, proving that career transformation can strengthen rather than threaten family bonds when approached strategically. Even Brad Steinberg left Pinnacle 18 months later to start an executive transition consulting firm, using Maya's bridge-building methodology to help C-suite executives find purpose-driven careers. His firm has facilitated over $2.3 billion in career transition success stories with a 94% client satisfaction rate. But perhaps the most meaningful ripple effect is the Maya Chen-Rodriguez Scholarship Fund, which provides financial support for mid-career professionals pursuing education in sustainable agriculture. The fund has helped 73 individuals make successful transitions into agricultural careers, creating a network of professionals who are revolutionizing how food is grown, marketed, and distributed globally. But the most profound change was Maya's relationship with herself. She'd spent 15 years believing that security meant accepting limitations, that risk meant disaster, and that career satisfaction was a luxury reserved for people without real responsibilities. Now she understood that the most dangerous risk wasn't the transition itself. It was the slow death of staying in the wrong place until it was too late to change. The mathematical proof of Maya's transformation tells the complete story. Her income increased 340%, while stress levels dropped to their lowest point in 20 years. Her marriage satisfaction scores jumped from 410 to 910. Her children's academic performance improved dramatically as family dynamics became positive and engaged. She'd gained 73% more time with family while building exponentially more wealth. Maya's framework has now been tested by hundreds of professionals and crystallized into 3 universal principles that apply to any career transformation. First, your expertise is universal currency. Stop cataloging what you don't know about your target industry and start mapping what you already know that could revolutionize it. Maya spent 3 weeks identifying every skill, insight, and relationship from her marketing career that could transform agriculture. The inventory became her competitive advantage. Second, build bridges, never burn them. The most successful career pivots maintain strategic connections to previous industries while building expertise in new ones. Maya's consulting arrangement with Pinnacle provides both financial stability and credibility that accelerates her agricultural practice. Your current industry isn't your enemy, it's your launching pad. Third, start building before you're ready. Maya began consulting for agricultural businesses while maintaining her corporate role, proving market demand before making the full transition. Don't quit your job to find yourself. Find yourself while keeping your job, then transition when your bridge can support your full weight. The metaphor that emerged from Maya's journey became the organizing principle for a revolution: career. Transitions aren't about leaping from one cliff to another. They're about engineering bridges strong enough to walk across with complete confidence. You don't need blind courage for a leap of faith. You need strategic intelligence for a bridge of inevitability. Maya's story reached its perfect conclusion on a golden autumn morning exactly 2 years after that first agricultural extension course. She was standing in Jake Morrison's field, now expanded to 200 acres across 5 states, watching the harvest of crops grown using consumer insights she'd developed. The beautiful irony was complete. The expertise that had once felt like golden handcuffs had become the tools that built her ultimate freedom. Her phone buzzed with a text from Sophia, now thriving in her agricultural technology program. "Mom, I'm keynoting the National AgTech Conference using your strategic bridge framework. Thank you for proving that you don't have to choose between security and purpose. You just have to be intelligent enough to engineer the connection between them." Maya pocketed her phone and surveyed the field where technology and tradition were, creating abundance that would feed tens of thousands of families. She thought about that executive conference room where she'd once engineered her own firing to escape a golden cage, and marveled at how catastrophically wrong she'd been about what was actually possible. The woman who had orchestrated her own professional destruction to escape a $340,000 prison was now building a multi-million-dollar empire that served humanity's most essential need. The bridge she'd constructed between corporate strategy and agricultural innovation had become stronger and more valuable than either destination alone. If you're trapped in your own golden cage right now, wondering if transformation is possible at your age, with your responsibilities, in your circumstances, Maya's message is crystal clear. Stop asking if you can afford to make the change. Start asking if you can afford to stay trapped. Your skills are more transferable than you realize, your options are broader than you can imagine, and your bridge is waiting to be built, one strategic decision at a time. The most catastrophic lie we tell ourselves isn't that change is too risky. It's that staying put is somehow safe when the cage is slowly killing everything that makes us human.